Okay, so in this section we're going to talk about how to fit this into our lives. How do we fit the craft model into our lives on a day-to-day basis? So we in the book we talk about about a particular example of reading a book, right? So reading a book ends up fulfilling one of these functions, right? So this is the main idea from this, and we've talked about it before, but I want to just really go into this part. It's not the task itself, it's the meaning the task has for you. So I talked about a child reading a Steinbeck novel in grade 8, reading The Pearl. I call it, this was my own experience too, right? So it happens to many children as they're being forced to read a classic, right? What is it about this task when it is a job, when we're doing it for someone else, we start to feel like it's work. That's why that reading the novel for grade 8 might be more stressful than picking it up again when you're 28. And possibly when you're 38. It depends on how you are going to interpret that task. You can kind of think of it as an exercise for you to learn. And that could be a self-care exercise later on when you start to learn and try to incorporate the lessons from the Pearl into your own life. So that's one example, but where else are these examples coming up? Well, people who are involved in amateur theater, they're out there doing this as a leisure pursuit. Something interesting happens as soon as they're paid for that work. It starts to become work. They have to be there. They start to interact with it in a different way, even though nothing else has changed. They start to, people who paid them have certain expectations maybe. But really, internally, the thing changes. So think about that. When you are employing a task and you're doing it, could you pull in other areas from the functional triad? So as you're working in your job, could you realize that, hey, I'm lucky to get to do this. You know what? I've kind of separated that paycheck that I get in a couple of weeks from this task that I get to do right now, which is a wonderful task that I get to, as a leisure pursuit. I get to learn more about how to treat people and get paid for it at the same time. So how can I incorporate that into my day-to-day? Obviously, I love what I do, so I'm constantly trying to employ my understanding and trying to remind myself that, hey, I get to do this every day. I get to talk with you. I get to, publish a magazine. Is it work sometimes? Yeah, late at night on that last day of the month, we're trying to get that magazine out. Yes, absolutely, it's work, it's hard. But don't I recognize the privilege that I have to be able to express myself through there? And perhaps some of that can still be a leisure task for me. Does, the work that I do here teach me? Absolutely. Do I get to take care of myself through this? When I'm actually doing hands-on therapy, I'm actually often settled down and doing all the things that help me center myself. It's meditative for me. It's very much a personal development exercise to help other people to achieve their best. I'm also getting that opportunity to work on my best and learn. I learn every day, and I learn some startling things from day to days. Even though, I hear them, I almost want to tell you the story, but it will be out of context. You won't understand it. But it was something that taught me about, so we were helping someone with their carpal tunnel, and essentially we've eliminated the carpal tunnel, and then the person comes in and they've got all this tension up in their neck and shoulders. Well, you could think of it as unrelated, or you could think of it as absolutely related, right? What did I release here, and what was that bracing for the rest of the body? So we get to learn as we go through. So I did give you like a little taste of that In the pain course, I talk about many of these concepts, but sometimes they become more clear to me. So as I get to do my work, I also get to do leisure. And as I do that leisure, I'm also growing myself as a person. So that's my self-care. I consider that meditation, that process, to be helping me there. So think about that as you go forward. This is really the application of applying the balance of functions into your daily life. Okay? So we'll actually talk about this a little bit in the next section too, where we focus more in that and how that it can spice up the different abilities that we have and start to change our context as we go forward. All right, go to the next section.